Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Cramer. Our guest today is Staci Wallace. We are going to talk about mental mastery and the 1% factor. Welcome to the show, Staci.
Oh, it is my honor to be here. I'm so excited that we are able to be in the middle of a real, raw, relevant moment and just be able to share it together. Can't wait to see what comes out of this interview.
You have such beautiful energy, just like a radiant powerhouse entrepreneurial woman. And I am so excited to get in your head.
My husband would encourage you. That's a very dangerous place to go.
Well, there's risk and reward, right?
That's right.
So let's start a little bit, little introductory level here for our listeners and talk about who you are, what you got going on, what you're doing in your business.
Well, this is the fun part of these interviews where and there's a lot of folks who don't have any idea what we've done or who we've done, because we do a lot of what we do in corporate development behind the scenes, and our success is seen on other people and other corporations. But my husband and I, we have been blessed to start and scale companies into the hundreds of millions. I happen to be at a CEO, really operating as the visionary of a lot of the companies and being able to cast vision, sales, marketing. But I've been able to raise teams into hundreds of millions. And I say that it sounds so braggadocious, but I really want to give context of some of the things you and I are going to talk about when we talk about a method of mastery, that it's not something we learned in a book or we just signed up for a certification program and did it. Now we're out talking about it. But this is 35 years of corporate development, team development. I've worked with hundreds of thousands, over 250,000 small business owners, helping them either launch, scale, or sell their business at a maximum level. And there's so much mentally that goes into that part of the journey. And there's no easy pathway. There's no overnight success. And certainly my personal story of the things I've had to overcome as a woman, as an athlete, as a mom, a homeschool mom running a 9-figure business. These are things that really make it real and raw, because it shows that if I can do it, those of you who are just listening, I am sitting right now in an F-350 truck because I am out right now. We have a nonprofit organization, and we are right now putting the decorations and all of the interior decorating into one of our cabins on our nonprofit organization for transitional living for women and girls. And so sometimes you have to do it ugly. You have to show up. And even though it's not perfect right now, if you saw me, for those of you that are just listening, I'm in a jean shirt, hair up on my head, and absolutely doing the deal. This is how we do life these days. We show up, we say yes, and we operate at the highest level of efficiency, even if we're busy, even if we're a mom, even if we've got multiple businesses that we're scaling. And I really think, Alicia, that's what makes great leaders today, is they do it the hard way sometimes, but they always do it in our way with peace and profits. And so we might talk a little bit more about that today.
Yes, I love that. You just sort of weaved in a few nuggets just in your high level introduction. We're talking about mindset and how important it is to do that inner work. And you mentioned that this isn't like an overnight thing. Mm-hmm. So many people have this really wacky idea. I just haven't found the thing yet. As though there's just like one thing that is going to take them from this ongoing struggle that they've had internally and externally for, in many cases, not just months, but years of their life. Mm-hmm. They've been bumping up against the same challenges, the same negative mindset, the same stuck energy. Mm-hmm. And I just need to find that one thing, that one right coach, that one traffic tactic that one
Right.
thing that is somehow going to give me
That
that
one funnel
overnight.
that's going to make you
Yeah.
$1 million, right?
And what you are so good at teaching is it's incremental.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's why what we do, we call it mastery courses, mastery programs, because most people, what they look for is the microwave solution, a quick fix to get them from point A to point Z. But we fail to realize that you don't go from A to Z. You don't go from first base to home run. If you don't hit the basis of personal growth development, business development, infrastructure development, I teach 7 things that are important if you're going to launch, scale, or eventually look to selling a business. Those are 3 dynamically different, what I would say, portals that you go through, different infrastructure required, different team development. When you're just starting, you might hire a VA and you just don't even know how to coach a VA. You don't even know how to get them to really be an asset instead of a liability. And so you feel stuck. How do I get to the next level? And a lot of times it's because there's a lack of clarity in what am I supposed to do? Who am I called to be on this planet? And how do I operate according to my highest purpose? We say, in our, what we say, call it an I am statement. The I am statement of building a purpose-driven, highly profitable life and business that you love. Well, how do you do that? How do you do that if you really don't have clarity in what that looks like? So when somebody introduces me as a mastery level trainer in the area of business psychology, psychology is such an interesting dynamic because we think it's all about mindset, but really there's levels of cognizant behavior. Some of them are rooted in our history, what our mama taught us, what our daddy taught us, what our cousins taught us. And so we have a poverty mentality. And it wasn't something that we signed up. Hey, I think I'll go through life pinching pennies and having a poverty mentality. But it was something that was sewed into us from generations before us. And if no one ever stops long enough to help you digress, or what we call reverse engineering that behavior. So what does that look like? It's just like reverse engineering a goal. If you know you want to make $100,000 this year, and we know that you've got 10 months to do it, that means $10,000 a month. Well, now we can look monthly, we can look quarterly. What does that look like? Monthly. Now we can go, okay, let's divide that into 4, usually 4 weeks in a month. Then we can go out of 4 weeks, there's 7 days in a week. What do I need to be doing every single day to get from where I am, which is my current reality, to my ideal future? We teach something called goal manifestation versus dream boards. And we used to do dream boards like everyone else, and vision boards as in our programs. But we realized that a lot of people ended up not getting to the manifestation of those goals. They might happenstance 1 or 2 of them, but they weren't manifesting them because they never created a plan around each goal. And I always say a dream without a plan is nothing but wishful thinking. So part of the mindset is moving out of that ability to dream big, which some people, we've got to stop right there because they don't have a dream anymore. They're stuck in I just don't even know who I am or what I want to do or what business. I know I'm supposed to start a business, but what business do I start? So we've got to start there and reverse engine them backwards and go, okay, where did you get stuck? And we do something called the timeline. So why did you get stuck? Who's telling you you're stuck? What is the dynamic of the emotion behind I'm stuck? My feet are like in concrete, or I'm a gerbil on a hamster wheel, or it's just spinning and spinning, a lot of activity, but not progress. By looking at it from a more than just a consciousness level and looking at it from super consciousness, which means, okay, what is God's role in this grander scheme that I'm playing? And how do I tap into that? Well, that requires you really looking at it through the lens of wisdom and not just knowledge. I know it's a deep thought, but knowledge you can get out of books. Wisdom you have to get out of practice, which means you might overnight become a coach. Overnight you start a business. Overnight you get married. But wisdom teaches you how to apply the knowledge that you've been learning in everyday circumstances. And so what we do is we take people cognizantly into that realm of saying, let's look at your higher purpose. Why did you lose that child? Not you lost the child. Now you're stuck in that memory and you're not able to get past that memory. So now you feel like you've lost your vision, you've lost your purpose. What if that child is, the loss of that child is not a trauma? What it's a gift to you. And so we go back and we go, okay, let's go back to the moment where you got stuck. And so Alicia, it is really, that's how the 1% method became a method and not just something I've practiced since I was about 5th grade. My dad taught it to me. And it became a method that we can now teach people how to get unstuck, how to reverse engineer any goal, how to become debt-free in 7 years or less, no matter how much debt you're in. And it all comes down to manifestation through the 1% method.
Awesome. So somebody, actually, probably a lot more than just a somebody, probably a lot of somebodies are listening to this and they're resonating with it. Mm-hmm. So when someone, and this audience is, this is business owners who are committed to their inner growth. They're committed to the inner and the outer game in their business. And we have people who are listening who are just starting in business. Mm-hmm. We have solopreneurs. We have CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies. So we have the gamut here. And I am going to take an educated guess just on, based on my working with business owners as a mindset coach for over a decade, that the people who are listening to this, they feel an inner desire to be more, to fulfill more of their potential, to create a better quality of life for themselves, to grow their business, in many cases, not just for the external rewards, but because of those internal rewards, that sense of fulfillment, that sense of I am living a meaningful existence and I'm having a positive impact on people's lives. So for those individuals who are feeling a little stuck right now, I would love for you, from your wisdom, to just sort of intuitively share what you feel is encouragement to begin to break through that.
It's funny because anyone that knows me, I am not a mollycoddler. And so if you know what a mollycoddler is, it's someone who pacifies you where you're at, who tells you what you want to hear so that you'll continue to be my client. I am, because of my athletic background, I am a black belt in karate. I played basketball at the highest level before there was NBA, WNBA. I was chosen for the Junior Olympic basketball team. The 1% method actually comes from my father. I was skinny, scrawny, tiny. For those of you that are just listening, I'm blonde hair, blue eye. I look like a 52-year-old Barbie grown up. But when I was little, I was just a littler version of me, tiny bones, tiny. And I decided that the sport I wanted to play was basketball. And my father, who was a powerful, powerful leader, businessman, more importantly, he was a minister that was a missionary. He did all of his business developments and corporate developments that he did it to raise money for third world countries. And so he was also a missionary, and I was raised as a granddaughter of a grandfather who raised up missionaries and sent them around the world. So that's why I say I'm 49% boss lady, 51% missionary. The boss lady side of me, I've got this grit. My license plate on the front of my F-350 says Warrior DNA. And people always say, what is that? Because there is a DNA of a warrior. Every warrior is a child. And I think every one of us have a warrior in us. It's that person that was called to go from success to significance, to be a world changer, a history maker. But in order to go on warrior level of mastery, it means you got to be willing to go through Hell Week to find out what's really on the inside. And if you're quitting at the lowest level of business acceleration, if you're quitting at the lowest level of marriage, if you're quitting on your children, you're quitting on your faith, you're quitting on your fitness, then it's time to resurrect your warrior DNA. You've got the DNA and grit to persevere, But sometimes we are signing up for things that will help us feel better about where we are, versus in true business development to scale into 8 and 9 figures, or my husband and my brother started a company that went to $1.2 billion market cap. You're playing in a league with guys like Carl Icahn. They're ruthless. So you can't come with your little girl or your little boy pain. You've got to level up. You've got to pull up your big girl panties and you've got to play ball in the big leagues. Most people don't want to hear that. They're like, okay, next. That's not the coach I want. I'm looking for somebody to make me feel good right now. Do you want to continue to feel good? Or like I did a session today with somebody who they run a massive ranch, a lot of cattle. Son died of leukemia 4 years ago, and she's been a recluse since then, has a massive network marketing organization that she's basically not showed up for 4 years. Instead, she's living in the pain of the past of her son and when he passed away. 2 weeks ago, we did a live event. When she showed up weak, I finally had to say, permission to break you. Because you can stay stuck in this moment of remembering your son's death forever and never give voice to his life. Or we can awaken the DNA inside of you, the warrior mama inside of you, to where you can step in and not just be a boss lady operating a massive ranch of cattle, but also step into your divine mandate, use your voice to make a difference in the world and move from success to significance. Today on that call, this woman is talking about the massive wrestling event that she's going to speak at for the first time. She's going to tell her son's story. She's got her 3 bullet points. She's going to go back live on Mother's Day and begin to re-up with her team and be able to say, I'm not only the mom of Zach who passed away, but I am the mother of this generation of network marketers, big organization. There's a time and a place for every leader to say, am I ready to go to the next level? Because some people fear the next level because of what it's going to ask of you. And usually what it asks of you is to let go of who you used to be. Because what got you here, meaning today, this level of success or this lack of success, what got you here will not be enough to get you there. And whatever there is for you, maybe it's your next comma in your business, or maybe it's putting your marriage back together, or maybe it's having your children actually want to be a part of your business. You know, I've been married for 25 years. My children are 20 and 21. They now work with us inside of our mastery organization. They're coaches at the highest level of sales. They're investors. They're real estate developers. They're young, but they are the first seed of what we've done. If you want to live that life, to build a purpose-driven, highly profitable life and business that you love, that you don't have to forsake your marriage, you don't have to forsake your family, you don't have to forsake your faith or your freedom, but you operate in the trueness of who you are, then it means you're going to have to go through some suffering, you're going to have to level up, and you're going to have to do some tough stuff. And that's what I love about Alicia, for example. She's not just saying what people want to hear. She tells them what they need to hear in order to become everything they were designed to be on this planet.
I love that. It's so powerful. There's so many things that we could segue off of there, but I really, really, really hope that everyone listening just absorbs it, just takes it in and really starts to embody the truth. Mm-hmm. No matter what anyone's challenge is, you can see other areas of your life where you've broke through challenges before. Mm-hmm. And you know that there is a different mindset that you needed to embody to break through that. You've got to get to the point where enough is enough. I'm not doing this to myself anymore. I'm willing to do whatever it's going to take to break through this and to get myself to where I'm being called to go. So
I used to second guess myself all the time. When I turned 40, I had an epiphany. Again, my basketball, the way it worked was I was so skinny and scrawny. My dad would say, baby, if you're going to play basketball, you're going to have to outwork the other girls because you don't have the physical edge. You don't have the natural tendencies of a high-level basketball player. But when I dream big. I want to be the first white girl on the Harlem Globetrotters, right? Like I wanted to crush it. When I was singing, I used to be a country music singer, and I wanted to be the first country white girl signed to Motown. So I always went for like crazy astronomical dreams. My father taught me, he'll never tell me no, but what he will tell me is here's the reality of what it's going to take to get you there. You're going to have to work harder. If they shoot 10 free throws practice, you need to shoot 25. If their idea is shoot 3 in a row, you need to shoot 5 in a row. So every day I would come home when other people would be playing and going out and just having fun and eating their popsicles. I would come home and I would practice. Okay, I'm not going to go inside until I hit 3 free throws in a row. Okay, I'm not going to go inside until I hit 10 in a row. Okay, I'm not going to go inside until I hit 20 in a row. And so I kept up leveling my game. And my dad would say, just get 1% better every single day. And so back then, that 1% was like, if today I was able to go behind my back and through my legs with the ball, well, tomorrow I want to be able to do that 5 times in a row. And so I'd always have these, it's like walking. If today I was able to get to that stop sign in 3 minutes, tomorrow I want to make it in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So it's little incremental. That's what the 1% method is. It's micro progress every single day. But you have to be able to monitor and measure where you're currently at. So like at the end of our calls, I will say, what are we going to monitor and measure this month that our team will hold you accountable to make sure you're getting the progress so that at the end of the year or at the end of this cycle, you are at that next level. You've manifested that next level that you're wanting to be at. In my history, because of the things I've gone through, I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis as a baby. So back then, there was no cure, there was no therapy for cystic fibrosis. My parents were praying parents. They prayed. I was radically healed according to the doctors. They called it a modern day miracle. But it's interesting throughout my life, whether it was, our house burned down or whether it was losing everything in 2008 in the economic crash, I could give story after story after story. Every setback was a setup for a comeback. And I'm old enough now to be able to cognizantly know that I know that I know with a certainty that outweighs uncertainty. There's never a failure. There's never a breakup. There's never a setback that is insignificant to God. He uses all things together to work as seasoning in our life to help us become the leader we need to be for our next level. And that's why I always say, when you have a setback, don't take a step back, but get ready for your comeback. Because sometimes a setback, and I believe always a setback, is an opportunity for a setup for God to reposition you, redefine you, or even help you reinvent your life and business so it can have greater meaning and have greater purpose. And that has come through the life of hard knocks. We like to talk about all the successes, but really what people need to hear, and I want your listeners to hear today, the successes I have today have come on the back of the failure and suffering I had yesterday. And success demands suffering. There's not a single leader, CEO, entrepreneur, or billionaire that I've worked with that has come through hitting levels of astronomical success without suffering. So if you're in the moment of suffering right now, even if it's next level suffering, or you're just struggling, or you're stuck, suffering precedes significance. And when you can understand how to use your suffering, because nothing can get to you unless I believe God wants to get a message through you to the masses. Use your setback right now as a setup to rethink, recalibrate, maybe even reinvent your business, maybe reinvent your look, your hair, your podcast, your story, so that more people can consume it, and thus you become more engaging and you go viral. That's really the secret, is how do you use the setbacks of your life to be a setback to a comeback?
Oh, I love this. I just want to keep you here for hours and just keep pulling nuggets out. So everyone has within them the potential. And this is not something that is so far out there that only certain people can do it. We're talking about you, no matter who you are, no matter what your situation is, no matter what your background is, no matter what type of hell you've gone through,
Right.
everyone has within them the potential from where they are right now to start making these incremental gains. So beautiful. All right, Staci, I have to ask you this question, and you've shared a little bit. You've kind of brushed over it a bit. You know, you've had a lot of challenges in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love for you to share with our listeners one thing, just one out of the many, one mindset obstacle that you personally had to overcome in order to get to where you are today.
You know, the thing that comes to mind while there, when you, the longer you live, the more you got. The thing that comes to mind right now, maybe it's because of somebody that's listening, is when I was a country music singer, again, I went through a lot of challenges, a lot of rejection, a lot of no's. Before my grandma passed away at 94, she said, just keep on keeping on, baby. And that's a mindset of just never, never. I have a song called Never Give Up. When I was in my early 20s, 21 years old, my life was, it was, you know, like Natasha Bedingfield sings the song Unwritten. I was writing this masterpiece story, and it was a Cinderella, beautiful story. And I fell in love with a rodeo cowboy that was a championship rodeo cowboy. And I'm a country music singer. I mean, it's perfect. And it became abusive, and it became destructive, and it became so demoralizing to me that, and he left me and rewrote his story. And it was so damaging because I had really been this little successful basketball player and singer, and everything seemed to be coming up roses for Staci. And then I hit this massive brick wall of reality of life, and I went through suicidal depression, deep, deep. So despite the success, despite the awards, despite being nominated for New Female Vocalist of the Year, I went through this massive depression. And had it not been through that season of suffering, today I would not have M Women. And M Women, emwomen.com, is a nonprofit organization we have for women and girls who have been trafficked, who've been abused, who've been molested, who've gone through domestic violence. I would not have the voice I have today. I wouldn't understand them, number one, if I only had success. But two, I wouldn't have the story of suffering to relate and have empathy with the homelessness, with the desperation that we watch. Even I've got high level women making hundreds of millions of dollars who are caught in massive narcissistic relationships that they have been suffering through, and not knowing, who am I if I'm not in this abusive relationship? That part of my life, now, when I was in it, I was suicidally depressed too. But I had a radical faith experience in that season of my life that shifted me. And I knew that God didn't give me 5.5 octaves in my singing voice, which is like Ariana Grande or Mariah Carey. He didn't allow me to have this supernatural experience of my lungs when I was a baby, of being healed of cystic fibrosis, for me just to be an average person. He allowed me to have some stories because I believe right where the enemy of whatever you consider the enemy of your life, right where the enemy of your destiny wants to destroy you, God probably has a plan to use you. For me, it was my lungs and my voice. And I had to find a way to get through the suffering, to identify and believe that there was a higher purpose for my life. And once I started to believe it incrementally, healing didn't happen overnight. Trauma recovery didn't happen overnight, but my transformation did. I went from doubting myself to believing in something bigger than myself. For me, that's God. For you, that might be something else. But for me, it was God. That God had a plan and a purpose for my life, that if I would lean into my destiny instead of lean into my trauma, if I would lean into the hope of my future, that he would do something beautiful with it. The more I did that, more I had that mindset of leaning into the future of hope. Hope is the earnest expectation that something good is about to happen to you. Leaning more into that than the, oh, woe is me, I'm divorced, I've been gone through suicidal depression, I'm never going to be the same. Who could ever want to be with me now? I'm broken. Why am I, how am I ever going to be used to make a difference in the world? That will do nothing but keep you in concrete. But when you lean into the idea that what if God could use this story? What if God could use this failure? What if God could use this abuse? Today, that is an international nonprofit organization called EM Women that works in partnership with our business Fueled by Fire. And we have transitional living, 62 acres now of tiny homes where we are helping to restore the lives of women and girls and now men as well. And if it wasn't for the setback, we wouldn't have the comeback stories we have today.
It's a powerful story. And it's a beautiful story. And it's a beautiful example of this phenomenon that is just a fact of life. That it is like that analogy, that metaphor of the phoenix rising out of the ashes.
Right.
And it's just a part of our human experience.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will allow that tragedy, that trauma, that adversity, that obstacle to be the excuse for staying in their disempowerment. And other people wake up and they say no. And they use that as the catalyst to do really amazing, beautiful things. So thank you for sharing that story.
God's not looking for perfect vessels. He's looking for yielded vessels. And, generally, Alicia, I'm like you. I've got a studio. It's very perfect. It looks amazing. It's like the background. I look at you. You look beautiful. Your books are lined up. Your signs are lined up. And a lot of people stop because they don't have the perfect yet. They don't have a perfect location or the perfect lighting. And part of what I believe I'm called to do is to show that you can be imperfectly perfect. Is sometimes life throws you a curveball and you end up in an F-350 on a business podcast. So do it ugly. Do it the way you've got to do it, but show up, say yes, lean into your calling and destiny. And then don't let that be excuse to do it underscore, level up. Don't do it in your F-350 every day. Don't do it ugly. I mean, even if you find a corner of a house that you create an office and you say, this is my place of excellence, show up with excellence and do what you can do to level up yourself first, because self-leadership is number one. Number two, lead others. And number three, always do it with your authentic story. Don't try to be something you're not, because it will always leave you ending up with a life and business you hate. If you want to build a life and business you love, paint it on the canvas of your authentic truth.
Beautiful. Okay, Staci, how can our listeners connect with you?
StaciWallace.com, StaciWallace.com. I do free mastery classes. We're getting ready to go into one at FBFchallenge.com. FBF stands for Fueled by Fire. FBFchallenge.com. You can sign up. We have them ongoing throughout the year. And to be able to just jump in and get 7 days of free mastery coaching. Our heart is that if that one free course can change your life, get you reset, we want to see you step into that mandate that you're called to walk in, and do it in such a way that you're able to have multiple streams of income, scale 6, 7, 8, 9 figures, be able to do it without losing your family, your faith, your freedom, and to be able to do it in a way that you become duplicatable. And so, Alicia, those two really, StaciWallace.com, FBFchallenge.com to get registered. And then, of course, just follow me on social. I'm just at Staci Wallace on all platforms.
So good. And you're so inspiring, so much wisdom, so much experience. I do highly encourage our listeners to make sure that they connect with you, get in your world, get into your energy. This is and this is me saying this as a mindset coach, somebody who has, been in the trenches with business owners, working with them on their subconscious reconditioning. This is good stuff, guys. So please, do yourself a favor and check this out. Thank you so much, Staci. This has been absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely an honor. I look forward to collaborating with you more in the future. I know we got some thoughts that we're going to talk about in the future. So it's been great, Alicia. Thank you.
That's right. Stay tuned. You're going to get more Staci. And thank you so much to all of our listeners. You know that we are doing this for you. If you have not already subscribed, please make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.